This is FE Peer Review. The date is December the 27th, 2024. The final experiment. Was it filmed inside a dome? Will Duffy just put out a video, and I'll put a link in the description. He is addressing some statements that some flat earthers have made, I think one King Niko being among them, suggesting that the whole flat earth experiment was some kind of a staged hoax that was filmed inside of a soundstage, some vast soundstage with fake snow and fake lighting and all of that. And he's addressing that a little bit in this video here, and then he ends the video with some absolutely spectacular drone footage. So I encourage you all to go check that out. He's got some great points to make, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit. I think I've always thought, you know, it's best to listen to the flat earth claims and then look at them and see how they hold up in the light of evidence. So these people are suggesting possibility that the final experiment was a hoax and conducted in some sort of artificially created environment. Now, frankly, I've never even heard of this King Niko until about a week ago, so he seems to be making hay while the sun shines here. I'm not inclined to give him a lot of attention, but what he's saying is representative of several people, I think. He's suggesting this whole thing was done inside a dome. Well, one of the things that we got to enjoy in the course of this experience was several wonderful videos, particularly by Critical Think, but I think the other people put in material as well, that showed the planes arriving and landing, not only from inside the airplane, their arrival, but also other planes arriving and departing from the camp while they were there. We saw the planes come and go. 757s, Boeing 757s, landing and taking off. Now, you got to have quite a soundstage to pull that off. I got curious, you know, if somebody's going to claim that sort of thing, I thought, okay, well, let's look it up. What does it take, you know? I mean, if I was going to make that kind of a claim, I would look up the material first. So I found a website here that's got, it's called B757.info, and somebody put this website together all about the Boeing 757. It's got all kinds of specs about it. And down here under performance, we have, here's takeoff field length. It gives two distances for the amount of runway length a 757 needs to take off. I think that the two distances are based on whether it's fully loaded or empty. I'm not sure about that, but I'm going to just take the shorter one to give the flat earthers the best chance possible. They're suggesting this is some kind of a soundstage in which you can land a 757. That's going to take as a minimum 6,000 feet of runway. Well, let's see what kind of space we've got for that. They've also pointed to the Sphere in Las Vegas. The Sphere in Las Vegas, it's a concert venue and great big dome. And I thought we should go take a look at the Sphere. Why not? There's Las Vegas, and we're going to zoom in, but I'm going to stop part way and point something out as we zoom in here. This here are the runways at the Las Vegas airport, and these are the terminals. Now let's go visit the Sphere. Here it comes. There's the Sphere. Pretty massive. Takes up a good part of a city block. Let's come down here and take a look at it in Street View. Charming Las Vegas. Isn't it pretty? There it is. There's the Sphere. Yeah, pretty massive, all right. That's quite a big thing. I'm going to step out of Street View here, go back to a top-down view, and we're going to see how big it is. Look at that. Oh, by the way, it's a geodesic dome. Thank you, Buckminster Fuller, for inventing the geodesic dome. Okay, I've got map length set to feet. We'll do it in feet first, and then we'll go back to meters. So I'm going to click outside here on the edge. There's my measuring tool. Come over to the other side. And it looks like we have got 645 feet. That's not exactly 6,000 feet like we're going to need. But it's a part of it. It's a tenth of it. In meters, what is it in meters? It's 196 meters. Okay, well, we're not going to land a Boeing 757 inside the Sphere. So let's scoot out a little bit and get a feel for just how much space we would need. We'll try that again. Go back to feet, clear, and I'll start over here at this freeway intersection. Okay, here we go. Does that get us there? Nope, 3,500. There's 6,000 feet. So you see the yellow line? That's a 6,000 foot long line. That's the bare minimum runway length needed for the 757. The Sphere is just not going to do it, unfortunately. So I thought to myself, okay, well, they weren't really, these King Nikos and the other flat earthers weren't really very original in pointing towards the Sphere at Las Vegas as a model for the kind of soundstage thing that could be done, given that it's like 1/10 the size necessary. They could have probably have looked around to see if there's anything bigger. I did. List of largest buildings in the world. The first three on the list are huge factories. There's a Tesla factory, and Boeing's is the largest. Boeing's aircraft Everett factory, and then Airbus is also on the list for their factory. I thought, okay, start with the biggest, Boeing's Everett factory. I went over and looked at the Everett factory, and here's a picture of the inside of it. Now, mind you, this is just a small piece of it. This is just one bay of a half dozen or so bays. Let's see how big it is, actually. It's 398,000 square meters, 4.28 million square feet. Pretty massive, but it's not one big open space. It's got all kinds of structure inside. So what you see here is one bay. This area is not the whole factory. There's a picture here. This shows a schematic of the factory. You're looking at one bay. I don't know which one it was, but you know, one of these bays is what you're looking at. You've got airplanes. You can see the airplanes there. Yeah, big. But if this is whatever 300,000 square meters, it's the whole thing. And these dark lines, these are all structure. So this is not the kind of space you'd be able to use to do to stage a hoax final experiment. There's too much stuff in the way, too much structure in the way. You need an open space, something completely open where you can project on every available surface all kinds of landscapes. So the Boeing factory is not going to do it. So going back to our list of largest buildings, I made my way down. The first three all have the same problem. We get to the fourth one, the Arium in Germany, a hangar originally intended to house the construction of a giant airship. This building now houses the indoor theme park Tropical Islands Resort. Shall we go there? Let's go to the Tropical Islands Resort. Please do not notice the curves on the map as we make our way. There it is. There's the hangar. Pretty amazing looking thing. I wonder if we can get street view for this. Let's check. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very cool. That would make a great shed in the backyard. Let's go back to a straight down view. So, okay, are we going to get our Boeing 757 to land in there? Let's get our trusty ruler back out. It's set to feet. Very good. And we'll start at one end. I'm starting on the left, and I'm going all the way across to the right. And it's 1,530 feet. That's still only a quarter of what we need. We need 4 times that much. And what is it in meters? 466 meters. So, we're not there. The biggest single unobstructed open spaced building in the world is 1/4 as big as we need just to land our airplane, let alone fit all those mountains. But I did notice as I was working on this that there was a runway right next to it. So let's check the length of that runway. Okay, we're starting on the right. We're going down to the left. Where's 6,000? Let me change that to feet. There's 6,000 feet. You can see the yellow line. That's the runway length we need for our 757. So now we've got a real problem on our hands. The largest space in the world isn't big enough to land our airplane, let alone anything else, such as that camp in the mountains in the distance. What are we going to do? This is a problem. I think flat earthers need to ask themselves a question here. If they actually had a way to reconcile these observations that flat earthers themselves made, 4 flat earthers down there saw this for themselves. If flat earthers could find a way to reconcile these observations with their idea about the flat earth, they would. But they can't. They have failed to find a way. So their only alternative is to turn to calling it a hoax and a lie. That means that what they see destroys their position. So all they can do is deny that they're seeing it by saying it's fake. They're not seeing it. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of the situation. Any flat earthers watching this, if you can't reconcile what you saw with the flat earth, and you have to turn to calling it a hoax, that's an admission of defeat. Now, in the world of science, lying is a way to destroy your professional life. Your lifetime tenured position at the university, gone in a flash if you're caught plagiarizing, faking data. And the same goes with people, with colleagues accusing colleagues of lying. If somebody accuses a colleague of lying, they better have some very strong evidence to support that accusation, because that accusation, if correct, can destroy the other person's life. So the person making the accusation is himself doing something really unethical if he can't support his accusation with evidence. So you guys who are calling this a hoax, you don't seem to understand how serious a thing it is to do that, to accuse other people of lying without evidence. If you've got no evidence, if you can't produce real solid evidence that this was a lie, then what you're doing is despicable, immoral behavior. And if you think you're a moral person and you're doing that sort of thing, sorry, but no, you are wrong. I want to end this video with one last thought. And this is with regard to Will Duffy. Will Duffy demonstrated some amazing resolve and energy to push this through. He committed to this project, and for a year he worked on it hard. It cost him a lot of money. It cost him even more effort. It cost him emotional strength. And he pushed it through because Duffy is a pastor, and he cares about the well-being of the people around him. He looked at the flat earth community and said, these people, they're in a dangerous space. They need to be challenged, and they need to be helped out of this space, and this is how I can do it. This is me as Will Duffy talking. And so he came up with the flat earth experiment and very generously helped several flat earthers find their way all the way to Antarctica. I really admire him for that. I think it's a great thing he did, and I see him as an example of a good way to live your life. Now, I wanted to say one thing about Will himself, and I want to put this gently and nicely and hopefully in a constructive and positive way. Will has not hidden from anyone that he himself holds some views that we, among the globe earthers here, for the most part, don't subscribe to. The two being young earth creationism and a denial of evolution as it's typically described. Now, if I'm wrong about that, if I'm mischaracterizing Will's beliefs on these 2 points, someone please correct me, but I believe this is the case, that he's a young earth creationist and does not accept evolution. Fine. He has made it clear that that's not relevant to the final experiment, and I agree, and everybody around it seems to agree, and consequently people haven't talked about it, which has been appropriate. But I'm looking ahead now, and I'm thinking, over the course of the next couple of months, all of the work that got started there in Antarctica is going to continue, and we're going to see analysis of data and videos being published and so forth. And in a couple of months, it'll wrap up. Probably 2 months, maybe 3 at the most. It'll all be wrapped up. And when it's done and wrapped up, what I'm hoping that Will see another way that he can help people get better. What the flat earthers need to do is show a willingness to question themselves in the face of contrary evidence. This is what he's been trying to help them do. Present them with the opportunity to encounter the contrary evidence and then help them confront themselves about it. If he really wants to do more good, he could use himself as an example and do the same thing with himself. He could allow himself to be confronted with evidence that's contrary to certain views that he holds, and he could wrestle with it. That example, I think, would be as powerful, if not more so, than what he did with the final experiment. It would certainly be a great companion effort on his part, and I think would demonstrate yet again his moral high ground, his ethical correctness. So I hope that in a few months Will may decide to have some conversations with a few people who are really knowledgeable on subjects like evolution. I'm thinking of Erica, who has a channel called Gutsick Gibbon. She's a really fun person, very interesting to talk with. I haven't had the opportunity to talk with her myself, but I watch her videos regularly, and she has great conversations with people. I think that if somebody like Will were a willing participant in a discussion with her, she would be a brilliant exponent of the science around evolution. There are other people, too, that are very good on this point. So I hope Will consider that as a future project that he might engage in. Anyhow, that's enough for today. Don't want this to go on too long. I hope you all find it interesting, and if you did, I hope you'll click the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and please do leave comments. I'd love to hear your comments. You all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.